Silencing the Shame, Your Mental Health is the name of our panel today. We've got a lot of people who are commenting on our social media at Facebook, Nina Brown.
Yes. I'm going to go through some of these comments. Maury alum said, thank you for this. It needs to be a weekly topic. So many of us are dealing with this. Thank you, Maury. Monique Carrington makes a great point. Mental health evaluation should be as necessary as mammograms and colonoscopies, dentist appointments, etc. Absolutely. Marilyn Harris had a similar situation that Tanya, you dealt with. Her niece is in the Navy, tried to kill herself twice. She was taking baths every 39 minutes. She's now under military care, but she refuses to take her medicine, saying nothing is wrong. Kind of what Shanti was speaking to about Frank specifically. And they're going through it as well. She left her phone number. Is there any resources that we can give her? She's watching now on Facebook Live, but a niece who just refuses to get help. She says everything is fine, but her actions say differently. Anyone? Shanti, do you have any resources that we can give Marilyn's family?
Well, one, if she's in the Georgia area, the Georgia Crisis Access Line number. Tanya, do you know that number right off?
Yes, it's 1-800-715-GCAL. 1-800-715-GCAL.
The other thing is you can go to our website, silencetheshame.com, and click the resource tab. Also, NAMI.org has a local chapter, NAMI Georgia, and Mental Health America of Georgia are great resources.
Here's another great question, if I can just put this out there, and anyone can jump in. Anita Williams says she has a 19-year-old family member that needs help. However, they're having insurance issues. What would you say to someone who either is having insurance issues or simply does not have insurance but wants mental health help?
Community service boards. Community service boards are free for you to start the process, and they're the cheapest thing in your area, no matter where you are in the world. Those and places like Silence the Shame, NAMI, Mental Health America, SAMHSA, all those places you can go to.
Dr. E, Dr. Gay, any more resources for someone who doesn't have insurance?
And the other thing I would say is all of us therapists generally, we take insurance, we pay out of pocket, and then we also have sliding scales, right? So a sliding scale is based on income, and sometimes those sliding scales can go down to zero. So if you have a therapist, one of the things you want to ask them if they, do a sliding scale.
And can I just quickly add, I had a friend the other day who needed their medication, but their insurance hadn't kicked in yet, and they're in Atlanta. I said, don't be afraid to go to Grady. Right? They will not refuse you treatment. That person went to Grady, and they were able to get their medicine prescribed until they could get their insurance to kick in.
That's great. Dr. Gay, did you have something?
And lastly, we do have people that have insurance that still have extremely high deductibles and high copays. Utilizing your employee assistance program, the EAP program that's already built into your insurance policy that you're already paying for, utilizing that will lead you to have no out-of-pocket expenses. So that really is another way for people to be able to get in front of a therapist and not have the stress and strain of the financial component.
And lastly, check with your insurance companies. During COVID, which I did not realize until the very end, that most insurance companies, right, they were doing something during the pandemic that as long as you saw them virtually, they were covering it at 100%.
100%, yeah.
I didn't learn about this benefit until I happened to call to ask what my copay would be, and they said, oh, as long as it's virtual, it's at 100%. I was getting free therapy, but unfortunately, a lot of companies and insurance companies didn't promote that so people could take advantage. But call your insurance companies, call your HR resources, and ask those questions.
All right, we do have a comment caller. Let's go ahead and take our caller.
Kim.
Kim, go right ahead, Kim.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Kim, and I just had a comment about my two sons. So I do believe I had a mental break. My sons basically pulled a knife out on another young boy, and they've been doing this continuously, and the school has had no help or anything like that. And so I just picked up my boys, and I drove them, and I dropped them off with my dad. And I just want to know what strategies could I get?
Wow.
Okay, I've heard some of the details. She was saying that her son and another young man are pulling knives out on one another, and she believes it's more of a mental health issue, a mental illness issue, as opposed to just inappropriate behavior or what have you. this is so number one, that becomes more of a physical safety issue, right? So there, before we even start the therapeutic process, we have to secure the young man and other people and make sure that everyone is still safe, right? The school environment, has to be, they have to speak with administrators in that school environment to promote a place of safety, because a kid has to be able to go back into school. We can't just completely remove him from the educational process. I would also go ahead and contact some local practitioners in the area to see if they have any type of community, what do they call it? The assertive community teams, right? The ACT team. So those are individuals that go into the community during crisis situations and help stabilize the situation and connect them with immediate resources so that the young person can actually talk themselves down and not commit a violent act. So there, we really want to focus on the ACT team and also consistently communicating with the school system, the school environment, the administrators, and ringing the alarm and letting them know this is a physical safety issue and a mental health issue as well.
And that goes for bullying as well.
Yes.
Even if it's not involving knives. I mean, if your child is being bullied, I think what Dr. Vaughn Gay just said applies just as much.
Absolutely.
So,
Nina, one of the things I wanted to add too, I think as we talk about therapy, because people always say you need to go to therapy, you need to go to a therapist. Oftentimes we don't talk about what the expectation should be when they actually get to the therapist. So we'll have people that go one time and they're like, I went one time, but they didn't tell me what to do. Or
They didn't fix me.
They didn't fix me, right? Or I went a few times, I feel like I'm wasting my money because I don't see a difference yet. Or all these different things, because a lot of times I feel like they have unrealistic expectations going into the situation because they may be the first ones in their family, or if someone else in the family went before, maybe they never talked about it. So I feel like we have to start having that conversation around, this is what actually happens. We hear about therapy. What is it? This is what actually happens when you go. This is what you should expect along the way, and this is what the process will be. And guess what? Sometimes when you go to therapy, the first person you sit with may not be the right person, just like a medical doctor. And that doesn't mean we give up on therapy in itself, but we just transition and find the right person that's a fit with what our beliefs are, what our values are, whatever that may be.
And you get from therapy what you put into it. Therapy is actually work, like anything else. You have to do the work.
That's interesting. So I remember I had a friend, and it was always a situation. It was always one thing after another, after another, after another. He's a friend. You're being supportive, right? And it got to the point where every time I'd look at my phone, I'd be like, oh, all right, take a deep breath and try to help my friend. And my friend eventually went into a facility. He was inpatient for a minute. And then there was a Friends and Family Day, and he invited me to go. And at the Friends and Family Day, the therapist that was running the session said, I want to say something. First of all, thank you all for coming. Second of all, it's not your fault. Third of all, if you can't deal with it, it's okay to walk away. Don't feel bad. And I was shocked. And I said, what'd you say? He said, it's okay. If you can't deal with this, it's a lot of pressure. It's okay to walk away. And everybody in this room understands it's okay. And I think so many times when we're going through this with people, if we're not careful, even with family, it can bring you down into that situation. When is it okay to walk away for your own mental sanity?
Anyone?
For me, I just really look at it from a standpoint, again, it's the heart, not the head, all right? And so when you understand that you have literally done everything that you can do, you're taking calls at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? You're going to pick people up. And I've done all these things I'm telling you I've done. I've stopped someone from wanting to go do something bad to their ex-wife and meeting them at the park at 1 o'clock in the morning and talking with them. When you know that you have done everything that you can possibly do, you can then walk away. But here's the key on that. Walk away, but it's one of those ideas of walking away but staying present, right? That they know that you're still in their life, that you're still there, but you're at a distance. And that piece of it allows you to have that disengagement, if you will, because if you don't, then you experience the whole grief cycle, right? Because now it's a loss, right? And so now it's like, somebody has passed away, versus you then looking at it from a standpoint of having that space, but then being able to reconnect when you need to.
Wow.
So I think that's a very important piece for that person that's looking to do that.